Hi everyone, this is Kayla and I am sharing my first process video today that also is my first voice narration on a video, so hopefully all goes smoothly. I have a layout that I want to share today, and right now I'm working on a couple different cut files. So the large one in the middle of the page is a Click Kits exclusive cut file, and the other three are from a Paige Evans cut file called Flower Cluster. And so I'm going to start again on this large flower, and again that one is from Click Kits. It was an exclusive cut file from the March 2018 Malama kit, and that featured Paige Evans Pick Me Up collection. And so I've cut these flowers out. I've decided to use this large one and then two from the flower cluster cut file by Paige. And I purchased mine uh, in her Etsy shop. And what I'm doing is I've cut them out to the size I want, and now I am coloring them in. And I'm using Distress Oxides, and I really love Distress Oxides. This was kind of the first time I'd really played with them, but I didn't prep the flowers at all. It's just plain white, cheap cardstock, no gesso or anything like that, and I felt like the colors just really smudged and blended so well without even having to prep the page. So right now I'm using the Worn Lipstick and Picked Raspberry colors, and I'm just going through and doing a big mix of both, blending and coming back in with one color, going back in with another, and just kind of going until I feel like I'm happy with what I'm getting. And so through the magic of editing, I fast forward and have them all colored. So that yellow one that I just showed you, I used fossilized amber and spice marmalade. And then the purple was also shaded lilac and wilted violet. And now that I have the flowers colored in, I decided I wanted to color the circle laser cut die cut from the March kit. And so I'm taking some cracked pistachio and twisted citron to blend in just the edges or the laser cut part of the image. And I felt like those two colors were just a little bit light, and so to add just some darkness to it, I brought in Mermaid Lagoon and just put touches here and there. And even though it's a blue color, when I blended it with the other two greens, it just created more of a dark bluish green, which I really thought made the shape look really nice. And so again, I just keep going, and I kind of fuss a lot with it, but just go and go until I get something that I really like. And this layout, I'm using all these flowers on it. I wanted to do the challenge that Paige has in her group on Facebook that she just created recently. And she has a challenge to use either a page with flowers from her collections with pink paisley, or her floral cut files. So I'm kind of doing a bit of both because I'm using a couple from her shop, a couple cut files from her shop, and her newest line. So here what I'm doing is I'm tracing the outline of the cut file, and I'm going to end up filling in the petals of each of the flowers with embroidery thread. The March kit for Click Kits came with 4 different embroidery threads that I loved because I love stitching and creating with embroidery thread on my layouts, so it was really fun for me. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to mimic string art, so I'm not sure if anybody's familiar with that, but I've gone ahead and punched holes into the paper, and the string art is where you take nails and create an image with the nails in your board, and then you fill that image in with string by wrapping it around the nails. And so in this case for the flowers, I'm using the holes I've punched as my nails, my hypothetical nails, and then using embroidery thread as my thread to fill in the petals. So all you do is just make a very random selection here to fill in. So just keep going. There's not a lot of thought that has to go into it. Just keep filling it in and make it as random as possible, but then also fill up as much as you can. So I'm going to give you a little close up here. So I've just totally random, and this took some time to fill in all these petals, but I just did that while I was watching TV during the week. So I will have the finished result up here soon. And this part, I decided I wanted to use the holes in this laser cut shape to do some more stitching. So this is, I didn't mention the last light pink thread that I was using on the flower. That was one of the colors that came in the March Click Kit. And then this kind of teal color or blue-green color was another one. And so right here I'm trying to show you how I did a chain stitch. So I'm fairly new at it, but the idea is you pull the string through. When you put your needle back in, you go through the exact same hole that you just brought your string through. So I'm showing you right there. And then you pull that through, but not all the way. So once you get to the end, you want to keep a little loop. And then you go to the next hole and insert your needle and then slowly pull. So you can see I'm just pulling it all the way through. And then you do the same thing in the same hole, pull it all the way through until you have just a loop left. And then go to your next hole and put it into your hoop and pull through until it's all the way. So here is the finished project for the petals. So again, like I said, this took me a while, but I really liked the result, and it was just something fun to do for my hands while I was watching TV during the week. And so now I'm going to go ahead and cut all these out, and then they'll be ready to put the die cut flower over it here soon. But first, I'm going to do some filling in of the middle of the flowers. Just kind of seeing where I want to get my position here first. And I have that green pattern paper there at the bottom. I am going to bring that in later, so you'll see that here in a little bit. So to fill in the middle, for that yellow one, I thought I was going to use a flare, but I liked how the enamel dots looked more inlaid into the middle of the flowers. So I do end up using the coral enamel dots for the yellow flower. For this purple one, I'm using the gold enamel dots. And then in the large pink one, I'm going to end up using all of those cork hearts as well as some of the like dark teal enamel dots that come in this pack, and then some of the teal stickers from the um, fancy pants stickers that come. I can't remember the name of the stickers or what collection they're from, like We're Family or something like that. But it's fancy pants stickers, and all three of the enamel dots, the cork hearts, and the fancy pants stickers all came in the March Click Kits. So here I want to do some stenciling, and I have an Echo Park stencil from Once Upon a Time. I believe it's the boy version of it. And then I have some Deco Art Rose Gold Metallic paint that I got from the Click Kits shop. And I start by using just the paint with a brush. I think if I would have had a better tool than just a brush, this might have worked out a little bit better, but I don't end up liking the result because it's too liquidy and it bleeds under the stencil, and I think if I had a sponge or something, it would definitely be a lot better than how it ends up turning out. But I don't like how it's so sloppy and messy. You know, if that was the look you were going for, it would be great, but I wanted something more crisp in the background so that you could actually tell that I was trying to put stars in the background. So what I end up doing here, I decide I'm going to end up putting some texture paste in with the paint just to thicken it up a little bit. So I actually didn't have some texture paste on hand. I was out of it at the time. So I actually just took some spun sugar creamies from Shimmers, or not creamies. What is it? Spun sugar. I believe it was spun sugar dazzlers. I believe. Anyways, they're paste that Shimmers carries, and I just blended that with the paint. And since it was white, it it didn't add any color than what was already in it from the rose gold paint. So I just mixed it really well, and it did lighten the paint just a little bit, but the rose gold color was still there, and I thought it was really nice. And then when I put it on the stencil, the shape is held a lot better, and I like that a lot better. So I did save the other page. Maybe I'll turn it into some sort of mixed media background. Um, but for the sake of this layout, I like the texture paste better, and so that's what I end up using. And you can't really see it on the screen, but I did have some marks, just very light pencil marks of where I was placing my flowers on the page. So I was able to determine, okay, I want some stars here and here, so that way I could kind of fill up some of the white space that was going to be in the background. I'm almost done. And coming on up, this is that green page I mentioned that I was going to put at the bottom. I felt like for flowers, you had to have something, some grass, right? They couldn't just be floating in thin air, at least not for this page. So I actually just found an image of grass on Google that I liked and turned it into a cut file. All you have to do is save the image you find as a PNG or a JPEG or anything like that. So you can just do like a screenshot or something similar of just the image, and then um, put it into your, save it to your desktop as a JPEG, whatever, similar, and then upload it to, in my case, I have a Cricut, um, but you could do the same thing with a silhouette. I'm pretty sure, anyways, you probably would be able to figure that out. I'm not an expert for that, but for the Cricut, I like to use the snipping tool or just some sort of copying tool and then save it as a JPEG, um, or not JPEG. Yeah, JPEG, right? Whichever one it is. Save it to my desktop and then just upload it, and then it cuts it out for you. So it's really easy. Maybe I'll do a quick tutorial on that someday. But for now, I've cut it out. I'm gonna have grass at the bottom, putting all my flowers back onto the page. And this is my picture. It's of me in Singapore, actually, in the botanical gardens in Singapore. I studied abroad in Singapore in my sophomore year of college, and I loved it. I had such a great time. But I haven't really scrapbooked any of the pictures, and I just thought with the flowers and the gorgeous flowers in the background in the picture that this would be a great layout for it. So I'm gonna go ahead and glue this down. I tried gluing it down with some my fine line bottle that has some tacky glue in it, the Scotch tacky glue, but it just, with the thread, there was some dimension in it. It just wasn't working. So I just pulled out my ATG and glued it down with that. And then the same with the other flowers. I just put some ATG on the back of the flowers and then attached it to the threaded paper, and the ATG stuck to the embroidery thread just fine. So here I've got the rub-ons, and I've picked out a couple of the cute moths, and I'm going to put those onto just some cheap cardstock, and fussy cut them so that I can treat them more of like a piece of ephemera or an embellishment rather than just the rub-on. I do love the rub-ons, so I might try and use those on a layout as an actual rub-on, but just in this case I wanted the flexibility of being able to cut them out and use them as a 3D embellishment on my layout. And the nice thing about the rub-ons is just carefully lift it. If you didn't get it all down, just put it back down and keep rubbing until you get a clear, crisp image. And now I'm going to start gluing my flowers down. So I'm just using ATG again on the back. It seemed to work pretty well with the thread, so I just went with that. I could have used the Scotch quick dry or tacky glue that's in my fine line bottle, but I just felt like it would make the flowers kind of wobbly, I guess you could say, because it would dry a little awkwardly, or I'd have to press down in certain spots for the liquid adhesive to touch the paper because of the thread. So I just went with the thread. It was just easier. And so here I decided, okay, I don't want my flowers just floating. I want to make them a little bit more realistic. So I did go ahead and punch some more holes, and I'm going to chain stitch some stems. And so here is some of the thread from the kit. I've got that nice charcoal gray, and I decided to go with that versus the green or the teal. The teal is what I used in the laser cut circle to do the chain stitch around my photo. And then I'd already used the pink from the kit in the pink petals, so I thought I would bring in the gray just as a nice accent and to use yet another of the colors. So that's 3 out of the 4 colors that came in the kit, and I do actually end up using the 4th one later on. The 4th color was just a nice bright white, and I used that for some trails for my butterfly or my moths. So you'll see those coming up. So right now I'm using the alphas from the March kit. These were also by Fancy Pants, and this was from a different collection than the stickers that I used for the center of the flower, the pink flower, but they are still Fancy Pants. And I end up just doing simple Singapore Botanic Gardens because that's where I was at, and I just thought the black looked really nice around the photo. And so now I'm using the few larger moths that were the rub-ons that I cut out, and then all these teeny tiny little moths are ones I cut out from the 6x6 paper that I had in the March Traveler's Notebook Kit from Click Kits. So again, all of these products I'm using are from Click Kits, the March kit, and it features Paige Evans' Pick Me Up collection. And so I had pre-cut out all these little moths from that paper, and I still have a bunch left on that paper. I don't even think I used half of it. So it's awesome because I have a whole bunch left that I can cut out, and I just thought these were the perfect, perfect little finishing touch to my page. So I'm gonna just go around and pick a whole bunch of them to put around the page, and once I get them situated where I like them, I'm going to add some of the Scotch tacky glue that I have in my fine line bottle there, just down the center of each moth so that I can lift up the wings to give the moths a little bit of dimension and make it look like they're a little bit more realistic. So I don't make you watch all of it, but I will be moving on here shortly, but I do just kind of show a little bit so that you can see what I'm doing. And then this is the final product. I do end up using the white embroidery thread to make little trails behind each of the moths, which you'll see in the close-up pictures here shortly, but here's some close-ups. I really enjoyed this layout, and I really am thankful that Paige created this challenge so that I could use some of her cut files and her gorgeous collections that came in the March Click Kits. So I hope you enjoyed, and again, pictures are coming up, and have a fantastic day, everyone. See you in the next video.